Have I always disconnected the batteries? No. My poor knees. I hope y'all enjoy listening to Derek over there picking up the car. Click, pulled the headliner completely out. I'm gonna do that. I'm so excited. I just can't hide it. My knees already hurt. Oh. Quack. Quack, quack, and we're back. Today, I have a special treat for you. You'll get to see me suffer with one of the most painful recalls that I've ever had the pleasure of doing, second to the FRS valve spring recall. This is a 23 Chrysler Pacifica van, and the recall is replacing the curtain airbags. Now, some get one side, some get both sides, and this one gets both. So, backstory on this is that the reason why the recall is in place and the curtain airbags are being replaced is because I guess an insufficient charge for deployment, aka bad. So here we are, more airbags. So I'm not going to show the entire process. This is not a how do you do it fast and beat it. I'm hourly. I'm gonna do it correctly. I'm gonna do it safely. Recalls are not a joke. If you put your tech number, your name on a recall, you are liable. So for some reason, if this vehicle gets into an impact, crash, roll over, and let's say, I said, oh, I'm not worried about the extra 10 millimeters down the side, no big deal, and then the airbag shoots out and then slaps it at somebody and, potentially hurt someone, let alone kill them, I'm reliable for it. So if you are in the field and you are doing recalls, it is not a game. Don't play around when it comes to recalls, and just don't be that guy who doesn't care about what he does. I mean, it's how would you feel with your kids, your wife, your family in a minivan going on a trip, and then something bad really happens? So think about that. I think one of the biggest things I always remembered with when I work on vehicles is that I treat every single vehicle as if it was my mother's, as if my mom would be riding in the vehicle, or kids, or so have you, right? So that's the gist of it, guys. How you do anything is how you do everything. First things first is I'm going to disconnect the battery because it is an airbag recall. Have I always disconnected the batteries for the Toyota airbag recalls? No, but I do discharge. If you don't know, the little bit of static electricity that we can actually generate when you touch somebody and they go pop and it zap them, that is enough to discharge a battery or discharge an airbag to cause it to deploy. Believe it or not. If not, look it up. It's real. And if you ever seen an airbag deploy from the ground and shoot up in the air, they go about 25-30 feet. I don't want to get hit with an airbag, so serious game. But since I ain't got to worry about presets, radio presets, clock, all that kind of stuff, because it's fleet, I'm going to do the safe thing, the correct thing, and I'm going to unplug the battery and I'm going to allow the vehicle to completely go to sleep. And then we'll start the procedure. Yeah? Yeah. So, in order to do the recall, the airbags live along the top of the vehicle. That's why they're called curtain airbags, right? Think of curtains. big thing to think of before actually just getting a battery is that you have power seats in the front. On this vehicle, the passenger side is not power, but the driver's side is. One cool thing about the Pacifica, it is a Chrysler, but there is one cool thing about it for this kind of recall is that the rear seats are the stow and go kind, right? So there's no, I don't have to pull them out. There was a recall at Toyota for the Siennas where we had to actually pull that stuff out, the rear seats, and run an overlay wire from one side to the other up to the front, and yeah, it was a mess, you know. So thank God for stow and go. I am happy about that. But the headliner has to come down enough for me to be able to get the bags out. Now, the information, repair information for it tells you to actually pull the headliner completely out. I'm gonna do that. Yeah. So one key point to remember before actually disconnecting the battery is to move your power seats as far forward enough to be able to clear for the stow and go feature to work. Yeah, you don't want to undo the battery and then be like, oh, I didn't move my seat. So something to think about. But stow and go to seats, move the seats around, position the things. I have to pretty much disassemble the entire interior of this thing, mostly, right? So let's get the battery undone. Let's let her go to sleep, and then we'll go from there, right? Quack, quack. I'm so excited. I just can't hide it. My knees already hurt. Oh. Quack. First things first, we're going to get the batteries unplugged, undone, so we don't have any risk of kaboom. This is your 8.6 conventional 12-volt battery, and this is your auxiliary 14 battery. This is for your start-stop feature. These are terrible. They always go bad. I have probably replaced over 100 of these since I've been here, but something to keep in mind is that they are actually in series. So I'll show you. If I undo this, the car is not safe. Right? Why? That's why. If I do not unplug the negative side terminal from the aux battery, the car still has, well, it did. You liar. You lied to us. Ah, you punk. Sparky bad. For demonstration purposes. See. And so, like, if you do come across one of these Pacificas and you see that service part brake, or this right here, you'll also see service shifter. If you see those, like this is not lit up, service part brake, service shifter messages, it's going to be because of the auxiliary aux 14 battery being bad. So before I forget, let me move my seat and crunch my body in between this lovely spot. But this is what I was talking about real quick. The stow and go features on these is amazing when they actually work. Get in there. That is so much nicer than having to remove bolts and nuts and whatever else. Watch out, bruh. At least this one's not super dirty. Go to your home. Yeah, I know. I would not step on a customer's car seat. Or would I? That's that function. No, that one got pushed down. Look at that. I'm a ninja. Which way does this go? Come here, boy. Look at that. Hiya. And we are ready to rock and roll. Look at that. Clean cars. So remember, undo both negative battery terminals and don't lose your nuts. Yep. So now we are safe. Check myself. I got no powers. I got no nothings. Let me move this down. So on both sides, these will come off. This, yeah. We'll worry about it later. Yeah. So pretty much all your top A, B, C pillars. This has to come off. Yeah, there's annoying torques here, torques here, torques here. These are nice. Kaboom. That. Kaboom. Yeah, so about to start ripping and tearing. Yeah, let's give it a few minutes, let the battery or car completely discharge, because I don't like boom booms. Hey Derek, say hello. Hello. All right, before we get started, so in order to beat recall times, that is the goal, obviously, correct? Just not for my case. But when you do, and you are trying to beat recall times, you don't do it by cutting corners. You do it by being prepared and organized. So I like using these. I have the metal ones, but they're in the car for other reasons. But so I'm gonna just throw all the hardware that I get into these buckets, and I have it separated in two spots. Rear hardware, so pretty much from here on we'll go back, so like here we'll go into that, and then everything up forward will go into there, and I'll use the dashboard for some other extra storage space. But yeah, we're not going to cut corners. We are going to do it correctly and somewhat efficiently. So now I got to get all these tins. There's the airbag swivel. So we're going to get all these tins out, and then, you know, work the old one out and work the new one in. After, of course, we remove the headliner, right? Good.